Boom. Great morning. Fired up for an amazing, amazing Monday. New week, new opportunity. We're in the third quarter of the third month. And I love the number 3. Shout out, because I'm the third. It's a lucky number. So let's get it. It's so time to get this life started on a Monday. My name is Aubrey. Roxy, my partner, is going to be here in a minute. And today we're going to be starting Triple M with this amazing video by a guy named Tracy. So Triple M, we share a video. If this is your first time to your 100th time watching live or watching recording, we share a video, we get nuggets, we input positivity in our brain to start our week off on a positive slope. Because as you heard in science class, something in motion tends to stay in motion. So if we start positive, more likely that we'll stay positive. So Tracy is one of the top personal development speakers. The reason I like him is because he sounds like one of my old English teachers, but he's so 100. He's like if one of your English teachers like pulled you to the side and was like, yo, I'm about to drop some real knowledge on you. You got to work your ass off. You got to do this. And you can't be lazy, and you got to get this work. And I'd be like, yo, you're my English teacher. Like, because his accent is, he sounds like an English teacher, but he's so 100 and he's so real. And I'm like, dang, that is true. I do need to get to work. So he's going to be talking about some of the things that he's seen successful people do, some of the things he's seen unsuccessful people do. He's written over 70 books. I didn't know that. That's crazy. Some of his top books are Eat That Frog and Eat That Frog 2. I know it's a weird title. I heard about it years ago, and I was like, Eat That Frog? What the heck is that? And it was actually one of my first introductions into personal development. I never read it, but I heard about it. It's talking about getting your hardest things done first in the day. Eat that frog. If you had to eat a frog, you can look at it for hours or you can just do it. I was like, guess that kind of makes sense. Because I used to do the easiest things first. I was like, let me get, some momentum. He's like, do the hardest things first and everything else is easy. That's kind of my philosophy with leg day on Monday or Sunday. Get the hardest day out of the week early. Everything else is cake. So you guys, we're going to be listening to him. Make sure you got your notebooks out. I got mine. We're going to be hearing from you guys nuggets. If you're at work and you can't share, no problem, chat bar. We want to hear your perspective. So without further ado, Tracy dropping nuggets. Let's get it.
Woohoo! So before we dive right into things, I've got to ask, just how many presidents and prime ministers have you had dinner with?
Probably 3 or 4 over the years.
Fantastic. And if we go back in time, and if we go way on back, can you tell us, were you a model student growing up?
Absolutely not. I was kicked out of school several times, and I left school high school without graduating and worked washing dishes. So and what was your parents' mantra around money while you were growing up? We can't afford it. We can't afford anything.
So then, as you were a child, before you got kicked out of schools, and I guess you are having a record number of detentions at this point.
Absolutely.
It sounds like around 16 you had a revelation that if you wanted to change things, you needed to do what?
Well, above the age of 17 or 18, I realized if I wanted to change things, I had to change myself. And then at the age of 20, I had probably my greatest turning point when I realized that I was completely responsible for my own life. And I found that every single successful person starts to be successful after that point. They realize, I'm responsible. This is my life. Nobody's coming to the rescue. And until that, they blame others and they make excuses and they hold back and they complain and they criticize. But after you decide to accept responsibility, your whole life changes.
So you were a construction laborer, if I understand, at the time. And then
Yes.
How did you decide to go from there and say, I'm getting into sales?
Well, what happened was I worked at laboring jobs for several years, and then I could no longer find a laboring job, and I had to eat. And eating is a real motivation.
Yeah.
The only thing I could get was a straight commission sales job knocking on doors. So I took it and ran with it. And that was the turning point. I never went back to laboring.
And there was somebody, I guess, who introduced you to the Pareto concept or the Pareto Principle at that time. And I think you ran with that as well.
Well, a friend of mine in selling said, did you know that the top 20% of salespeople earn 80% of the money? And I said, I'd never heard that before. He said, oh yeah, it's a pretty common principle in sales. And I said, well, if that's the case, then I want to be in the top 20%. And as you said, I'm going to write a new book next year. So it's going to be called Turning Points. Mm-hmm. But as I look back in my life, I find that there were many large and small turning points. And one of them was that. Because I found then that if you commit to getting into the top 20% and you just keep working at it, there's nothing that can stop you from achieving it. But if you don't commit to getting into the top 20%, you automatically default to average. And you'll never accomplish anything in life. And so I began studying this. I've read 6,000 books. You can see all these books behind me. This is a fraction of the books in my home. And I've read most of them. But what we find is that every successful person is successful because they make a decision to be very excellent at what they do. And they work at it sometimes for years before they achieve that. You've heard of the 10,000-hour principle that was identified by Pears Anders and Anders Ericsson. Mm-hmm. Actually, that was discussed 25 years ago. The Malcolm Gladwell wrote a book on it, and everybody runs around going, woo! It's been out for 25, 30 years. This research says it. Basically, it takes about 5 to 7 years of hard work and about 5,000 to 7,000 hours to become excellent in your field. You know, it's interesting because I would say this to my sales audiences, and I would say, now, most of you are thinking, geez, I'm 30 years old. I'd have to be 37 to be at the top of my field. So I would ask this question. I say, well, how much older are you going to be in 7 years anyway? And the answer is, the time is going to pass. Is 7 years from now, you'll be 7 years older. The only question is, will you be average, mediocre, worried about money every single morning when you get up and all day long? Or are you going to be at the top of your field, living in a big house in the hills with beautiful cars and your kids in private schools? And the decision is 100% up to you, because anybody can get into the top 20% if they decide to. Well, anyway, so that was the turning point for me. I decided to get into the top 20%, and then I looked up and I found there were no barriers. It was an open field. There's nobody stopping you. So I say to my audiences, I say, there's only one person who can stop you from being in the top 20%. Now, who would that be? And the whole audience gets it instantly. They point to themselves. It would be me. That's right. So don't let yourself hold yourself back. Anyway, so that was a turning point for me.
We may use that as a theme today because I think that's so important. It's a topic I've been talking about a lot on the show lately, which is that things always happen with a decision. You can want something all you want, but until you actually make that decision with action, stepping forward, nothing changes. Yes,
and that's a very important point, is that your life just goes on by momentum or inertia. Sir Isaac Newton's law of inertia is a body in motion tends to remain in motion in the same direction unless acted upon by an outside force. Human beings continue to do the same thing indefinitely unless acted upon by a decision. Is they make a decision that I call it like a bump car in the circus. Mm-hmm. You know, like a bump car, they make a decision to go in a different direction. And until that happens, nothing happens. So you're right on the mark there.
So going along those lines, with that bump car, what is the importance then of having clarity?
Well, I would say that clarity is probably 95% of success. I teach it almost like a fundamental religion. And you start off by asking, being clear, who are you? I mean, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And then what do you want to accomplish with your life? And so we start off with real simple questions, like if you had no limitations, if you had all the money and time that you needed, if you had all the opportunities and contacts, is what would you ideally want to accomplish in your life? And so then we take people through a goal-setting exercise, which is exactly the first chapter in the book, Master Your Time, Master Your Life. Because until you're absolutely clear about where you want to end up, then, as they say, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. Mm-hmm. Now, there was a wonderful book written back in the 90s called on strategic planning. It was the top book for business. It was called Competing for the Future. And what they said is that to be successful, you have to identify the skills that you're going to have to be at the top sometime in the future. Yep. Because you cannot achieve anything more than you're achieving today at your current level of skills and knowledge. So you have to decide it. And then once you are, and then you have to decide your goals. And what they said was this, is if you're absolutely clear about your future vision, then your current decision making is very easy. It's very easy to make decisions in the moment if you're crystal clear about where you want to be in 3 to 5 years. And how do you do that? You just make sure that everything that you're doing today is consistent with where you want to be in the future. And I teach this to people, and they just sit there shaking their heads. As I said, that is so simple. One of the little exercises I do, I say, how many people here would like to double their income? And everybody raises their hand. I say, well, I know several different ways to double your income that are absolutely guaranteed, but let me just give you one to start off with before the seminar. I say, imagine that you have two types of activities that you engage in each day. And we'll call these A activities and B activities in two different categories. A activities are those activities that move you toward the goals that are most important to you. Those are the most important things that you do every minute of every day. B activities are activities that not only do not move you towards your goals, in many cases they move you away. They are basically distractions. They're wastes of time. They're the chatting with your friends and checking your email and all these things that are totally valueless activities. So here you have these two categories. If you want to double your income, do only A activities and don't do B activities, and do them all day long. And if you'll do that and develop the habit of doing that, you'll double your productivity, your performance, your output, your income, and your rate of promotion. And it's absolutely guaranteed. And I know it because I've taught it all over the world. And when I go back, people come up to me and say, you told me that idea when you were here a year ago. I'm earning 3 times more today than I ever thought I would earn in my life. I can't believe it. I just don't do anything that's not moving me toward a financial goal. And whatever you do repeatedly eventually becomes a habit. So you get up in the morning, you plan your day, and you start on your most important task, and you stay at it till it's done. And then you do the next important task. You stay at that till it's done. If all you did was 3 important tasks each day, you'd be one of the highest performing and highest paid people in your field, whatever your field is.
I have things I put on my book of intentions daily, and in my my daily to-dos. It's called an SMP, a single-minded purpose.
Wonderful.
And I want a single-minded purpose for the day, but if I have to, no more than 3 single-minded purposes. Your top,
Wonderful.
your second, and if you need to go for the third. So let's go from there. What is the importance of putting our goals in writing, and how clear do we want to be?
Well, you asked earlier about a psychoneuromotor activity,
Yes,
which is a highfalutin word, but it means that there's three learning modalities that a person has. There's visual, there's auditory, and there's kinesthetic. And when you write down a goal, you activate your visual because you see it. You activate your auditory because you actually sub-vocalize it when you write it down, and it's kinesthetic, so you're doing it physically. As a result of all 3 of these, this goal drops straight into your subconscious mind, and your subconscious mind accepts it as a command and then begins working on it 24 hours a day. And I've worked with people that have been absolutely astonished. They've heard about writing down goals for years, and they've never done it. I said, just write it down, and within 7 days, I promise you, your life will change. And some people come up to me before the end of the seminar. You won't believe it. I had one recently. She had this one goal. That's all she wanted. She wanted her son transferred from a distant university to a nearby university so he could be closer to home. And she had contacted the registrar, she had called people, she had done everything, and there was all too many technicalities, and he was already enrolled and everything else. And so she wrote it down in the seminar as a goal, and while she was in the seminar, less than 30 minutes later, the registrar of the distant university phoned her in the seminar and said, we've managed to put the transfer through, and your son will be transferred next week. And she said, I can't believe it. She said, in less than 30 minutes, this registrar from a distant university in a distant city phones her in the seminar and fulfills her goal exactly the way she wrote it down. I said, yes, and see, it works. It works all the time. People are shocked until they do it. And even when you and I do it, and we write it down and we make a plan, and then suddenly we realize the goal, we say, damn, this is amazing stuff. This really works. We even are shocked ourselves. And how many times it works for us.
So from there, it may sound silly. Well, I think it's really important. I'd love your take on it. I have right here a physical notepad that I use because while I type to write my books and stuff, what I want to put, I call it casting a large stone into the pond of the universe. I want it in physical writing.
Here's my physical book.
Woohoo! Nice blue notebook. I love it.
This something like this will make you rich. People don't understand it. All you need, I read this wonderful one-liner 30 years ago. It said, get yourself a 10-cent pencil and a $1 notebook and begin writing down some $1 million goals. And I thought that's really simple. All you need is a little pad of paper and a pen and just write down your goals. And what happens is it's like planting seeds like a farmer. The nature, sunshine, water, rain, the soil, the nutrients will grow the seed. You don't grow the seed, you plant the seed. And planting the seed is when you write it down physically, as we just talked about. And it's planted, and then you get on with the rest of your life. Because now it starts to work. It starts to grow, and some plants or seeds, like grass, can grow overnight. You can plant grass, the next morning you see green. Chinese bamboo takes 5 years. So some really big goals take much longer to accomplish, but they are continuing to grow, and all the powers of nature are working on the goals. The law of attraction is activated. Mm-hmm. You start to attract ideas and insights and people, resources and money. It's the most astonishing thing. But only 3% of adults will write down their goals. You and I can talk to them like this. What I used to do in my coaching programs with my business owners is at the beginning of the first day, they would work with me every 90 days for 8 hours. I would hand out a book like this. I say, I want to introduce you now to your new best friend. And then I would teach them how to, first of all, determine their goals. And then second of all, simply to rewrite their goals every morning in the present tense without referring back to the previous page. So you have to write them from memory. You can't just copy like a child's copybook. You write down your goals from memory. And what happens is your goal definition changes and your order of priority changes. And new goals pop up and other goals drop off. I say, do this for 31 days. People come back to me and said, that exercise gave me more success than 3 years of coaching at $25,000 a year. I made more money in the last 90 days with that simple exercise than anything I've ever done. I said, of course, it's like a miracle. Write down your 10 goals every day. I learned that 34 years ago and started doing it and never stopped.
Do you ask them to, or maybe another exercise of yours, to link an emotion, a feeling, a state with that, with each one of their goals?
You can do that.
Hi.
Let's get it. Awesome stuff. Amazing nuggets. You ready to share first? Mm-hmm. Let's get it.
What's up, you guys? Great morning. I was chewing on a bagel. Just had my shake, having my tea, and having a little bagel. All right, so I really love Brian Tracy. He's actually like one of my favorites. Absolutely love him. So for me, I really love the beginning part when he started to talk about, I can't remember if he was talking to an older gentleman. The gentleman, I believe he said like, oh, it's too late or something like that. But what I wrote down was, the time will pass. I'm sorry.
You will be 7 years older anyway.
Yeah. So the time will pass and you'll be 7 years older anyway. And so many times I feel like sometimes we don't take on to our goals and our dreams with a like, hey, I'm going to do this because of the time that it'll take, you know. And it's so funny because yesterday I was actually listening to, for us, we do Herbalife, and I was listening to our founder, and he talked about, even if it takes you, he's like, I've seen it all. I've seen it, people take them 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 17 years. But would it be that bad to wait, like not even wait, but would it be that bad that if you hit President's team in 17 years? And to be honest, no, it wouldn't, because the 17 years are going to come either way. But the life that you get to live will be so much more completely different than if you hadn't gone to work on the things that you wanted, you know. And that's what he said. He's like, you can, in 7 years, you can have a mediocre life, or you can have a life where you can have your kids in private school, where you can travel and you can live in the hill and do what you want. There's such a major difference in the two lives. And sometimes, even when things get hard, we sometimes want to quit. But quitting, again, like nothing solves quitting, because at the end of the day, time is going to pass anyway. And so that was one. Next one I really loved. I loved how you talked about be clear. And what would you ideally want to accomplish inside of your life? You got to get so clear and crystal clear, you know, and just even start to ask the question, around the people around you and ask them in 5 years, where do you see yourself? And most people don't have an answer, and that's because they don't have a crystal clear vision of what they want their future to be. And if you don't have a crystal clear vision of where you want to be, that's perfect, but just know that life is going to take you wherever it wants to take you. And at the end of your life, you're going to say, well, this is where I ended up. And you probably won't take responsibility and ownership for that and say, this is just what happened, when really every single day we have the opportunity to choose to get really clear on what it is that we want, and then from there start acting in accordance to our goals. And he said, be clear about your future. Everything you do today must be consistent with what you want inside of your future. And that's so real, because if we say we want a certain thing, but everything else is completely opposite of what we say that we want, then we'll never get there. And he talked about categorizing the two different activities. Like if you want to double your income, it's like if you begin to do this, your income will change. And there will be A activities, where these activities move you towards your goals. And then there's B activities, where distractions and this and that and parties and blah, 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 and all this blah, blah, blah inside of your life that take you away from your goals. And he said, if you do just A activities, your income can double. You can have whatever you want, but you have to be so clear on what kind of activities you are doing. It's like Jim Rohn says, you can go and have fun a day on the beach. Cool, go for a day, or potentially one day you can own the beach. So which one would you rather choose? A lot of us would rather choose what's fun inside of the moment rather than going with the A and only doing the activities for 2 to 3 years, even maybe 5, to get to the destination where we truly want to be, that will make all the difference inside of our lives. So,
dope. Awesome stuff. Great nuggets. I'm going to have to stand up because I got some great nuggets for you guys. So, a couple of nuggets for me. Number one, though, how much older will you be was awesome. Roxy touched on that, but I love this one too. He said, once he decided to get into the top 20%, because the top 20% make 80% of the income, he said he found out nobody was stopping him. Nobody was stopping him. Nobody was closing the door. And I thought about that. I used to think my boss was stopping me. The company was stopping me. Whatever was stopping me, I figured out it was none of that. It was me stopping me. Me not willing to put in the work. Me not willing to learn the skills. Me not willing to find it out, figure it out. Whatever it was me. And now that I knew it was me, I could change it. This was a clear one. He said, what are the skills required for your next level? And you got to understand there's skills you don't quite yet have. Why? Because if you had them, they take you there already. Your skills have taken you to where you're at now. So if they take you to where you're at now, they're not going to get you any further. You've got to go learn new skills. And he said it's easy. All you do is you figure out where you want to be in 3 to 5 years, financially, career-wise, relationally, philanthropy-wise, giving back, whatever it is for you. Then you just work backwards. You say, okay, I want to be, if you're an Herbalife, you're like, I want to be on the president's team. If you're, you want to start a family, if you want to own a home, if you want to start a foundation, whatever it is, you have the clarity is 95% of success. That's a big chunk. Now, what are the skills I need to get that? What skills would I need as a president's team member? What skills would I need as a homeowner? What skills would I need to have a foundation successfully making an impact? And then you just go learn those skills. But guess what? The skills ain't going to wake up in the morning and be like, yo, what up, man? I came here for you. No, you're going to have to get up and go find them and make them a part of you. You're going to have to put in work. That was dope. A activities versus B activities. You guys, this was life-changing for me. Life-changing for me. I'm going to tell you guys, one of the key things you got to realize, and this is something I'm just now really, really starting to understand, everybody's not going to the same place. What do I mean by that? I used to wonder why I work with seniors. So to give you a background, physical therapist, I have a lot of student loan debt. The highest paying jobs when I got out of school, working with seniors. So that's where I went because I needed to pay the bills. And then I did like my wellness stuff on the side as a part-time job because I had a full-time and a part-time job. That's kind of how I made up. I would never suggest to do that. Now that I know, don't give up your passion just to pay bills, but I had to do that. So that's why Herbalife was so appealing to me because it gave me more of my passion back. But I'm working with seniors, and I see it over and over and over and over and over and over and over. In pain because they don't live the healthy, active lifestyle and eat well. No money. Always talking about money. I can't afford this. I can't do this. Usually living in a place where they're not that happy. Either they're with family and they're a burden on the family, or their family's with them because their family's broke and they have an old house they bought. And usually there's not a lot of passion in their life because they don't have a lot of hobbies still. And I know it's easier for me to say this when I'm here at 31 years old and they're seniors, but what I'm saying is that I know other seniors as well that live by the beach, that go for a walk every day, that are deciding this weekend what country we're going to go to. And what I tell you that for is that I want you guys to get clear. Everybody's not going to the same place that you're going. And I had to get clear for that. For me, I'm going to tell you guys right now, I decided a long time ago I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm not going to be always strapped for cash. I'm so tired of going to the restaurant having to look at the prices. I'm so tired of having to think, well, I can live there, but I can't live there. I'm so tired of having to think about, well, we can go on that trip, but we can't do quite all that. I'm so tired of thinking about my family members and being like, damn, yeah, I'd love for them to go to that school. I'd love to be able to give them that, but I don't know if I can. I decided I'm not going to live like that no more. I'm going to be a millionaire for me, my family, and everything that it represents. But I also am very clear that to become a millionaire, number one, I got to learn a lot of skills. And number two, everybody's not going there. So they're not gonna understand why, A, we don't have a TV, B, why we don't party and kick it and BS all the time, C, why we don't really spend a lot of time in the gossip and the talking and the kicking it and the talking about things that ain't taking us nowhere. They're not gonna understand those things. So when I say things like, yeah, Roxy and I are gonna be doing this and doing that, they might not understand that and they might feel a certain way. And I used to think that was because, oh, maybe they don't like me. Maybe I'm a bad person. You know what I realized? No, it's just they don't want to go where I'm going. That's all right. And to be honest, if they were real friends, we would be cool no matter what. Because I got friends in all levels of life, but I know that I've got to spend more time going in the direction I want to go versus the direction I don't want to go. So all that stuff in our life we decided, anything that's not taking us where we want to go is cut. Anything that's not taking us where we want to go is cut. No partying, no BSing, no TV. You guys look in our house, we don't have a TV. Why the heck will we have a TV? People want to do stuff. I'm like, yo, is this taking us where we want to go? Then no. I don't drink alcohol. I don't party and BS because guess what? I didn't realize it then, but I realize it now. I will be in the club and I'll be looking, I'll be like, some of these guys are older, like in their 30s and 40s. And just so you know, the club isn't a skill that gets you to a millionaire. And I had to realize that everybody doesn't want that for themselves and their family. No problem. The big thing is that, do you want it? Do you want it? Do you want it bad enough to be able to be, you heard what he said, 3% of people will write their goals down. Brian Tracy, a millionaire, just told you about the power of goals. Grant Cardone, a millionaire, just told you about the power of goals if you've read 10X Rule or Be Obsessed or Be Average. Only 3% of people will do it. What did Jim Rohn say? 3 to 5% will be financially free, financially independent in their lifetime. Now, you don't got to worry about trying to change other people. This is what you do. All you decide is, am I going to be a part of the 3% or not? I used to want to change everybody. Nah, man, let's all go. Nah, man, let's make it the 100%. They don't want it. You just got to decide if you want it, because that's the only person you have control over. Are you going to be a part of it? Are you going to be the person that does it? Are you going to be the person that's financially independent? Are you going to be the person that does what it takes to get to where they want to go and doesn't have to look back on life and say, damn, oh well. That's not a fun place to be, you guys. Damn, oh well is a crappy place to be. And guess what your family starts to believe is possible for them? Damn, oh well too. Your kids, your brothers and sisters, everybody in your family start to say, well, they didn't make it. How am I going to make it? My little brother just got into USC. My other little brother is going to get into a top college, and my other little brother will, and my other little sister will. I'm very clear that when they look at me do what I do, I have to be clear that it's not just for me. I can't be messing around and then look around and be like, damn, why are they messing around? No, they look at you as possibility. Damn, oh well, I never wish it upon you. Let's get it. So who's got another takeaway? Give me 1 to 2. Give me a thumbs up or a smile if you're excited to share. Thumbs up or a smile. Who's got a nugget? Everybody's in deep thought. Let me get one. Marv, what you got?
What up, guys? Great morning. One of the things that he was saying in the beginning was can't let the distractions stop you from doing what you want to do. There's going to always be distractions everywhere throughout your day, throughout your life, throughout your family, throughout anything. And no matter what, you don't let anything stop you, because you stay focused on what you really want in life. If you say press team, it's going to be press team. If you say press team and you're out there partying, drinking, doing something else, that ain't press team goals. So just one of the things that like really touched up on was no distractions at all from anyone. It can be from a family member, from anybody. No distractions.
No distractions.
Laser focused.
Laser focused. Let's get it. Great takeaways, Mark. Anybody else? Give me a quick thumbs up or a smile if you want to share. Everybody's at work. Focus. Let's get it. Jax, what you got?
Hey, everybody. Okay, so one of my takeaways, I write in my journal every day, but it's more so just thoughts. One thing I really took away was write down 10 goals, your 10 goals every day, no matter if it's like just for that day or for the 5 years from now. Write down those 10 goals every single day. That's something I definitely will add to my journaling for my DMO. And one thing that he said, but that Roxy just emphasized, everything you do today must match what you want in your future. So even if I'm on like, cause I don't have a TV either, but like strolling through Instagram is like the new channel surfing. So even if I'm on Instagram, to just be going in there and talking to people rather than just strolling and looking at pics and liking pics, it should be conducive to what I want in the future. So even if I'm strolling, I need to be talking to people, doing invites on Instagram. So yeah, those were the two big things for me.
Massive nuggets, Jax. Where are you calling from, Jax?
Philly.
Philly in the building. Let's get it, Jax. Love it. She said, scrolling is the new channel surfing. It is. Don't get caught. Make sure it's taking you where you want to go. Intentionally creating conversations and building relationships. I love that, you guys. Let's get it. Amazing trip on. Take y'all off mute. Let's get this energy. Where y'all at?
Thank you.
Let's go. We all go. Let's get it, you guys. Peace.